Hey YouTube, I've got a 2017 F150 Platinum with the Sony system, and I'm going to do a upgrade. My goal is to get a little more power out of the factory sub and a little more power out of the factory speakers. What I'm displaying here are the components I'm using, and I'm doing this as a budget build. Both amps I had in a prior vehicle, and they work fine, so I'm trying to use them here. Yes, I could go out and upgrade all the speakers and the sub and everything. I just don't want to do it. I want to see if I can make the factory system just sound a little better. So quick overview of parts I got. I've got the AP4-FD21, which will interface between the factory sync system. I've got the APH-FD01, which will interface between the factory amp and the speakers and the sub. I've got 6 pair of RCA cables for front, rear, and sub. I've got a couple of power distribution blocks, and I've got 25 foot of ground and 25 foot of power with a fuse for the power. Ultimately, I may also do a fuse for the ground, but that's yet to be determined. And I am going to run power and ground both from the battery all the way back. I've seen different people have done it differently and gone to the frame, have gone to the back of the cab. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to run straight to the battery, because with the composite frames and the aluminum bodies and stuff, I think the best bet's just go to the battery. So that's what I'll be doing. The way I'm going to route it is through the driver side firewall, even though there is a rubber grommet on the passenger side I could use. It's just more difficult to get at. So I'll come through the driver's side. I'll loop the power underneath the dash to the passenger side, and then follow the passenger door jams all the way back to the rear, and then ultimately bring it out beside the inverter that's over there in the black box behind the inverter, and where you see that washer laying on the floor, that's where I'm going to put the amps. Then on the RCA inputs, I'll run them from the dash down the driver's side through the driver's side door jams all the way back, bring them out by the vice grips, and then run them over to the amps, and that's where I'll do the input. For those of you that don't know, the factory amp is literally behind the seat. I've got to drop this first. There's the factory sub and the factory amp. What I've been told, or what I've researched, is the factory sub is running at 1 ohm. My belief is, since it's a dual voice coil, that means it's actually a 2 ohm run in parallel. I'm going to take it out and run it in series to get it to 4 ohm. And then the amp that I've got, the MTX4202, should power that sub just fine and give it a little more oomph without blowing it. I will probably replace the factory wiring right there and save it and keep it all intact, so if I have to revert it because I'm selling the truck, it's easy to do. I'll give you updates as I progress further. All right, YouTube, the first thing I had to do was remove a zip tie, and it came from the grommet that is down there on the firewall, and it's right, let's see if I can't get the phone to quite pick it up. I don't think it's a little too dark down there, but anyway, if you're looking for it, you'll see it down in there. And oh, right there it was. Okay, right there, that's where it came from. And that goes into the factory grommet that's right there. So now what I'm going to do is pull that grommet to the inside of the cab, and then run my power and ground cables through that, and then put the grommet back in place. All right, YouTube, I've been fighting a lot with this power and this ground cable. My intent originally was to take it to the passenger side over there and run it in this channel. I have not been able to find a way to get that power and ground cable through the center console to that side. There is a grommet on the passenger side, but it's more difficult to get at, so I chose not to attempt that. What I'm going to do is go ahead and leave the power and ground here. I'm going to run my RCAs, and then I'm going to test everything to see if I got any interference or not. If I don't have interference, golden. If I do, then I'll look at rerouting the power and ground, but I'm trying to avoid that at this time. All right, YouTube, I've got the stereo installed. There's my positive and negative, or ground and power. I ran both, home run them all the way. That cover going across there, I've got to put up yet. I just realized it's hanging down. I'll take care of that. I've got door chimes, and I've got a big improvement in sound. while it's a mess I haven't cleaned up yet. All I've got is a KAC-M1804 amp right there. Basically 45 watts a channel using the factory speakers. I've wired in this aftermarket kicker self-powered sub, and then I left the factory sub connected and functioning. Again, I've got to clean all that up yet. But the one thing that I did that I'm not happy about, but I had to do it, well, I guess I didn't have to, but I did anyway. I ran the power and the ground down this channel on the driver's side. I couldn't figure out a good way of getting it to the passenger side, and the grommet on the passenger side I didn't want to screw with. It just looked too difficult to get at. So anyway, I did run it down the same side as the speaker and RCA wire, but I don't have any issues at the right now with whining. So there, the truck is started. The stereo should come on in just a second. Okay, let's go to music or audio. All right, here we go. 17. That's 17. That's a lot louder than it was yesterday at 17. So anyway, I think you get the idea. What I used were two things. The first thing I used was the amp pack. I forgot the model number, but anyway, FD41. Yeah, let's see what the hell it says. The FD21, AP4-FD21. That goes up in the dashboard behind the LCD screen. And then I did the APH-FD01, which is over there on the instruction sheet there. And what that is the cabling to go between the factory sub and your new amp. This particular cable, the only thing it does is allow you to provide amp power to the factory sub using the factory wires if you wanted to do that. I left it out because I'm just letting the factory sub continue to work as always. Here's my speaker connections. Yeah, there's a lot of wire there. I didn't feel like cutting it. I don't know in the future if I make a change I might need it. And then there's the little Kenwood M1804. All in all, it sounds a lot better than the factory did, and it's still the factory speakers, just a little more oomph to them. And any questions, go ahead and feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks.